Okay, people, so now we're in the taxi here. Okay? It's a long journey. It's about a 45-minute drive. Going at a fairly fair clip here. You can see we're going quite fast because we're on the highway. Okay? Children's Hospital is quite far from us. It takes about an hour and a half, assuming that you get all the connections. If you take a bus or a SkyTrain, and it's like, how many SkyTrains? 2?
No, it's like one SkyTrain and like 2 buses.
One SkyTrain and 2 buses just to get to the Children's Hospital. And that's assuming there's no interruptions. So this is better for Amari to do it this way, right? So anyway, just wanted to show you we're on Amari's journey. This is what this is. It's a new chapter in Amari's life. Obviously, we're going to discuss the possibilities of hip surgery in the near future, or perhaps in the far distance future. I don't know yet. Do you hear this? It's fucking crazy, man. Hear this? There's a helicopter over there. We're at the Children's Hospital. Some kind of helicopter flew in. I think that's what we're hearing. Is their blades. Can you hear this? I guess it's ready to take off or something. It's like mad noisy out here. This is the introduction to my next video. We're done our appointment and we're going home here soon. There it goes. Ready? So we're going home now, and I just want to point out it's pouring rain outside. You see the windows are all foggy. Right? It's cold, cold, cold. Can you imagine me taking a bus right now and a SkyTrain, Amari?
It's a SkyTrain and bus.
Yeah. I had to fight to get this paid for by the government. And even then, whoever wrote the letter said I was canceling out appointments, and therefore that's the reason why it was important to go for this and have the government pay for it. And What is it? Canceling appointments, people.
There's a washroom behind
The
us.
one in September was canceled by them. Okay. Wasn't canceled by me. Either or. Amari shouldn't be expected to be taking a bus
Hey,
and a
well, at
sky
least we're
train
not back there.
and then another bus.
But the ministry is paying for it.
Yeah. Freezing cold yet. Pouring rain. Okay, people, I know I look lovely. Anyway, I'm back. We left at 12:30 and we didn't get back until 6:30, people. Okay? You do the math on that. That is 6 hours. Okay? So, I had to fight. Well, I didn't fight, but I kind of had to fight. I had to request for transportation to be paid there, right? Because it gets expensive. It's $75 one way and $75 another way by taxi. That's $150. And when we take him to the eye doctor or to the feeding team or, you know, to the pediatrician or wherever, he always goes in a taxi. I can't even think the last time Amari was on a bus, right? It's not, you know, it's not good for him. He gets, you know, it's long. Could you imagine us taking a bus down there, getting on a sky train, then taking another bus, and then walking to the hospital, and then dealing with, we'll talk about that soon, right? And then it was pouring rain. It was getting dark, like literally pouring rain, people. And then having to walk to the bus, wait for the bus in the pouring rain with it being dark, right? This is what I'm saying. I had to fight for this, okay? So eventually it got approved. Like I said, I had an appointment in September. Everything was in kind of in the making. And it looked like the transportation part of it was going to be approved because, right? And the doctor's office canceled the appointment, okay? Not me. I was ready to go, right? Probably mentioned it in my videos, just briefly, okay? Because, you know, this is a big stressor for me, right? So anyway, right? So that appointment was canceled by them, and then they rebooked it for November, today, right? So that gave us time to submit an application to the ministry, right? To approve the $150 through a voucher, right? Or whatever, right? But they needed a letter from the doctor, some kind of doctor. And before they would do that, they wanted it for their file. Okay, people? I'm leading up to something here, okay? Right? They wanted something for his file, for their file, right? Because I'm going to have to go back to the hospital again in February to go see a dentist because, you know, Amari's, you know, whatever, right? And then, of course, you know, that surgery stuff is still pending. But besides that point, we'll get to it, okay? I'm going to have to do this in several videos, okay? Right? But we just go with the flow here, okay? So anyway, because they canceled it, right? That gave time for a letter to be written basically by them to give to the ministry to pay for this for the next time Amari came. I have a copy of it. Basically, it puts the blame on me by saying that the ministry should pay for it because I've been canceling appointments because I can't get there in a timely manner. This was all done through these teams that I work with, right? I mean, everybody's trying to be helpful, but still, I kind of got set up, people. I just don't talk about it, right? You know, I mean, what am I going to do? Somebody has to take the hit, right? Because I did not cancel that appointment. And any other appointment before that, if we canceled, it only would have been because of maybe Amari had sniffles, right? Or they wanted to do a Zoom. You know, they were quite comfortable to do Zoom, right? I mean, the letter just is very unbecoming. But if that's what helps to pay for this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, I mean, I think it's good for a year, that letter, right? So the next time I go to the children's hospital, hopefully it will be paid for. And then this doctor, this hip doctor, wants me to go back in 6 months. Hopefully that will be paid for. Otherwise, I'm forking out $150 each time I do it. And that's just a bit extreme, okay? I mean, local taxi, it costs me anywhere between $30 to $40, depending, maybe $45, depending how far, you know, he's going in between these workers, right? Okay, I put up with that. Okay, you know, I don't drive. We know that's probably not going to happen for a long time, if ever. And, again, I'm the one left picking up the broken pieces of a failed healthcare system. Okay, so now I got that out of the way. What was I saying? So yeah, it took 6 hours there and back, with it being dark, cold, like really cold, with pouring rain. So that's why I fight for that, people, because, you know, it's the right thing to do. It's not his fault. It's not his fault, people, that he's in this situation. So why should he be punished to take a bus? When I'm being told under the hip surveillance program, or any fucking program I'm involved with, it's only because people care. And they're looking out for the best interests of the child. Right? Anyway, that's politics. So I think the transportation should be covered for a little while when it's to the children's hospital, right? That's all I'm asking for. Anything local, you know, I've been paying. But I've started to keep the receipts now, okay? I've just started to keep the receipts. Because it goes back to that private care when he's older and who's going to be looking after him, right? Because Tisha's not going to be able to look after him 24/7 all by herself, okay? Let's just be reasonable about it, okay? Yes, she'll have the kids to help her and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, she's going to need resources, and she sure in the hell doesn't need to be groveling to a fucking government, being accused of this, being accused of that, just to be able to get transportation. Because basically, I was accused. I was accused of canceling appointments, people, when in fact I didn't cancel all the appointments. Kind of like when Julian's mother was picking up Amari and then just text Tisha one day and said, I'm not picking up Amari anymore. I know you guys don't want me to see him, so therefore I'm just not picking him up anymore. And that was it. She just stopped and blamed us for it. When in fact, we never suggested that. We weren't happy with the situation, but we sure in the hell didn't fucking... You know what I'm saying? Right? That was just their way of removing themselves from responsibility. That's what that was, people. Okay? She would come into big fucking money. She wanted to keep it for her fucking self. And that's exactly what she did. God forbid if she bonded with Amari and had to fork out a few dollars in order to pay for something. Because that wasn't the fucking agenda. The agenda was... Okay, it's not about that. Okay? Let's stay focused. All right. So it was a 6-hour trip. I guess we can thank the province of British Columbia, Canada, for paying for that. Okay. All right. So anyway, I'm home now. I'm kind of tired, as you can see. I'm a little, I don't want to say scattered-brained or flustered, but I'm kind of like that because I've got all this shit in my head right now because I did run through a good majority of those questions that you've seen already. If you've been watching my channel, it was the one before this, right? Okay, before I left, right? That was my blowing off the steam before I left, okay? Went into the wolves' den, okay? I did record it, right? Everybody was kosher about it, because you have to remember, I didn't go in there with my recorder and say, okay, I'm here now and I got my recorder and my criminal code of Canada and I'm recording from the beginning right to the bitter fucking end. I don't care what you people got to say. No, it wasn't like that, people. You know, I mean, everybody was cordial, right? You know, I don't know if I want to get into too much detail right now outside of, because I really want to kind of, I don't want to say nitpick it apart, but I definitely want to, you know, take time and analyze it, savor it, you know, sleep on it, you know, let my you know, my psyche internalize what I was being told. He answered, the doctor did answer, because I didn't turn on the recorder until the doctor actually came, like a doctor. I came into contact with 4 independent workers, all wearing their masks, right? All vaccinated, okay? As if, right? Some people, actually more than that, people. I actually came into contact with more than that, right? 6 that I can think of now, right? We'll talk about that in the next video, okay? I'm not getting the vax, okay? I got lifelong immunity to German measles, all right? We know my reasons, okay, people? I've lost 2 daughters. I've lost Uncle John, okay? I've been gang stalked by individuals like Dr. God, Dr. Death for a long fucking time, okay? So, you know, bring it on. It pisses off Tisha, but Tisha doesn't understand the severity of what we're going through here. Hold on a minute. Okay, that was my son Brooks. We're not even going to go touch base on that right now. So anyway, I got Dr. God, Dr. Death right in front of me here, okay? I want to make reference to this, but not today.
To take additional precautions to protect those seniors and elders in those settings.
Lisa, do you have a follow-up?
I don't know what the question is.
Thank you. So does this mean that your booster program started too late? And, you know, what responsibility do you take for these outbreaks?
Yeah, so I don't believe our booster program started.
93% of the elderly in these care homes, which is about 80,000 old folks, minus the ones that have already died, okay? 93% people have gotten their booster shot, okay? And they're going on talking, the question was, why are you getting these outbreaks? Still, after booster shots. She answered it with, if I remember correctly, and we're going to go back and we're going to go through this maybe tomorrow, okay? That'll be a totally different video. But since we're on this subject, okay, she answered it with, oh, well, you know, they're just little small, little, you know, nothing too much, and, you know, it's just one person, and then from there we go trace out, and then, you know, we might find someone over there that it isn't really showing symptoms, but is testing positive, and, you know, and therefore, you know, it justifies that small little teeny-weeny outbreak. Because that's what she's saying, is just nothing major. Don't get all worked up over it, because, you know, 93% of the elderly have gotten their boosters now, people, as they're pumping them with flu vaccines. Okay? All right.
Late. We waited for the data that we had that showed what the optimal interval was. And as you know, very early on, we extended the interval between dose 1 and dose 2 in most of our long-term care homes, which is different from some other jurisdictions, including other jurisdictions here in Canada. So as we started to see increases in the community, we start to see spillover into long-term care. And we saw that in the summer, immediately after many of our long-term care homes had received their second doses. So it was, it just reminds us of how important it is for all of us to be vaccinated, to have our best protection, but also to take additional precautions in settings like this where this virus can transmit very easily, particularly the strain that we're seeing now, this Delta strain. And I've said this many times over the last few weeks. It is a different game now. We are seeing transmission that's much more rapid.
Okay. Oh, shit. Well, we'll pick up on that tomorrow. I clicked it because I'm blind, right? I lost my glasses today. My computer glasses. I knew not to take them out when I left the house. I should have taken these ones. Yeah, right? My brain's saying, don't take the good ones that you actually use for paper reading and the computer, right? You know, take the ones that you can barely see in. I took the other ones, and sure enough, at the very end of the day, at the very, 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 very end of the day, I lost them. Oh, I'm so choked, right? I said to the taxi man, if you find them, please bring them back. Okay, so basically, what's going on here is, okay, you heard that, right? Basically, we're gonna follow up. I'm gonna do a commentary on this because it directly relates to me. Nobody can't say it doesn't relate to me when they've got me going into hospitals, okay? And it's picking up pace, right? I have to go back for teeth because, you know, he's fussy, right? I have to go back in 6 months for a follow-up with the hips, right? I mean, that's 2 times in the next 6 months, people. Think about it, okay? All right. So, in the meantime, in light of what she's saying, you know, everybody, basically, they've gotten rid of the ones that are now not vaccinated, okay? I don't even, no. It's not a vaccination, in my opinion. They've gotten rid of the ones who have not taken an inoculation of something, okay? Let's keep it in perspective here, right? That's why we're going to come back tomorrow and hopefully do a little follow-up on some of the key words that she likes to spew out there in terms of trying to smooth over what is going on. All right. Oh boy. So we'll just use the elderly as an example to where I'm at within the healthcare system. Okay, because the only reason I'm there at this point, people, is because of Amari, by no fault of his own. Okay? And we know there's criminal activity within the ranks of the healthcare system, right? I reminded the group today that there are issues with me when it relates to healthcare, but I'm trying to be at arm's length and neutral, and I'm not there to discuss that, okay? Because we were there to discuss Amari. So I'm not casting, I'm not trying to cast stones. I'm not trying to cast judgment. I'm not trying to accuse them of being guilty before they've even been charged with the crime. I'm not trying to prosecute them and put them in fucking jail for something they didn't fucking do yet. But I'm also reminding them at the same time that, it's not as cut and dry as you think it is because, I've got history with the healthcare quote unquote system. Okay. So the elderly, apparently 93% have been fully inoculated. And now they're coming in with the boosters because of some so-called variant, right? As they fire qualified workers for the ones that refuse to be inoculated with an experimental, I want to say potion, and I guess you could say potion. And it's a modge-podge. It's a mix-up, could be this, could be that, in terms of product, brand. So, it doesn't really matter. And so, okay, we've got this individual saying, for whatever outbreaks that they have, it starts with just the one person, usually someone like me, I'll just use me as an example, that's unvaccinated, unquoted, uninoculated, quote unquote, right? That brought it into the facility to infect everybody else. Although they're all protected. You need to hear the asinine. That's what you call asinine. Okay? Rhetoric. All right? How can you have a facility with 93% of the residents and the workers at 100% now, because the ones that refused inoculation have been kicked off the premises without pay for 3 months before they're finally fired. Okay? That's asinine, people. And they're hiding behind a union because it's obvious the union is in bed with whatever is fueling this agenda forward. And I'm not talking about the union per se, as in the workers as a total workforce. I'm talking about the higher up the food chain that are sitting high on the horse, gloating, as they sacrifice the workforce to ensure that their positions remain. So they shed 3,000 to 4,000 workers. Just follow me with this, okay? Within the system, the healthcare system as a whole, whether that's in the elderly facilities or in the hospitals or wherever, they've shed between 3,000 to 4,000 workers who refuse the inoculation, and they're replacing them with something else, which more than likely, people, will be unqualified. You just won't know about it, though. Anybody can be an actor if they get paid enough money. I seen it with Uncle John. I seen it with Shimei. And I'm definitely seeing it with Amari. Okay? From the minute he was born, people. So, buyer beware. Buyer beware, okay? This is a time when people go into the healthcare system that they really have to question who is standing in front of them and if they are truly qualified to do the job without malice under that duty of care, okay? You see, government don't care because as far as they're concerned, they're in a crisis. They're always in a crisis. Have you noticed that, people? They're always in a crisis. And now they don't have enough operating rooms. They don't have enough of this. They don't have enough of that. Although they don't want to take no responsibility for that, for firing 4,000 workers. No. They're just saying that everybody's getting fucking sick. Even though 93% of the elderly in these folks' homes, 100% of all these workers, and everybody else within the healthcare system is now fully so-called inoculated. So how the fuck can they be getting so damn sick? Oh, I know, it's people like me. But I think it's something like 83, 84, 86% so-called of the general population, which I fall under, is supposed to be inoculated. So how the fuck are people getting sick? How could I possibly infect a group of 6 people who are fully inoculated, working in a hospital, with people all day, coming into contact with individual after individual after individual, spreading germs around? No matter how much you use this shit, you're still fucking spreading germs around. It comes on the bottom of your fucking feet, people. It won't be long before they got you putting your feet into bleach before you walk in, like the Chinese are doing. Is that really how you want to live your life? Have your children walk through bleach to go get healthcare, quality healthcare? Is that what you consider quality healthcare? Walking through bleach just to wash your feet before you come in? I'm surprised nobody has thought about that yet. Oh, maybe I shouldn't let the cat out of the bag. It won't be long before they start doing it, thinking, yeah, guess what we thought of? What a great fucking idea. Let's just stick it in a little more and really get those people fucked up in the head. Because that's what it's doing, people. It's fucking people up in the head. Okay? All right, stay focused. I'm not staying focused here. So, okay, what was I saying? So, okay, we've got the elderly almost fully vaccinated. Now they're coming in with their fucking booster shots. They use one person supposedly that comes down with a sickness to test them under these PCR that come in at 40 ramps or whatever the hell it is, which is going to produce the results that they want. Okay, we already know that, right? Okay, and then from there, that's the excuse to start targeting everybody else in the facility. So everybody's trying to go like, don't come to me with your stick up my nose, right? We got our little passport here, and but sooner or later they're gonna come. So I don't know what these people are thinking. Like, seriously. Like, what is it going to take for them to fucking realize that they're being gang stalked by, I don't know what people. But besides that point, right? You know, okay? Now, I don't go out very much. You know that, right? Okay, so we're not coming into contact with too much. Okay? Amari goes to his eye appointment. He comes back next day, 2 or later, he got a little few sniffles. Do I go running to the doctor and say, oh my God, Amari got COVID because he went to the eye doctor? Do I say, oh my God, Amari went and got COVID because he went to the feeding team and had a visit with them? Oh my God, did Amari get COVID because, or did I get COVID, or did Tisha get COVID because she took him to the pediatrician? Oh my God, he's got sniffles! He's got a snotty fucking nose. Well, I wonder why. He's a kid. Right? But I don't know. That's the way society seems to be. You get a sniffle, oh my God, run to the hospital and get them to help you. Right? You know, like, everybody's so freaking paranoid, it's pathetic. So anyway, okay, so, you know, they're trying to justify, I know this is a mixed up video because I told you my head's jumbled right now, right? You know, they're trying to justify what they're doing by saying, you know, because of their little outbreak here and a little outbreak there, even though it's not significant, because technically it should be a zero outbreak based on what they're doing, but they're still learning. She actually acknowledges that they're still learning, because it has been documented, people, that this is an experiment that goes on to 2022, and whatever the fucking results are, the public isn't going to get access to it for about 10 years, at least in the United States of America. How that relates to Canada, I don't know. I just know that Americans are in the dark for 10 years to find out the actual results that the government is collecting in terms of data. We're not talking about the VAERS study, VAERS, you know, the VAERS site, the reporting VAERS site. I spoke to one woman today. I spoke to 6 different people today, directly, close to me, okay? One woman I spoke to, you know, she said, oh, you know, blah, blah, and blah, blah, and I'm like, yeah, you know, and she was asking me a few questions, and, you know, she kind of felt, you know, compelled to tell me her story, to say, oh, I had to, you know, because we've spoke before, and she knows how I feel, and you know, and she said, well, if I didn't do what the government said, I would have lost my job, and I know, and that's why there's people like me, because, right, that's why there's people like me, people, okay? And this is what Tisha doesn't understand, because the fight isn't just with my grandkids, it's with the people. The real people. Not the fake people, but the real people. And, you know, I told her about VAERS, right? You know, that, like, you know, this is where you can get information. I explained to her about BitChute being shadow banned off of fucking Google, right? And if she's going to Google BitChute, she needs to put the .com at the end, and then hopefully the link will come up for her. And when she gets on there, she needs to sift through the fucking videos to find the ones that give her the information that she needs, that she's not receiving from Dr. God, Dr. Death, or anyone else from British Columbia, Canada Parliament buildings, or from these doctors that call themselves doctors but are clearly biased. Okay, we got a lot of biased doctors out here, people. Not every doctor, but a lot of these doctors too are feeling the pressure. They feel that if they don't comply, right, they're gonna get disbarred from the College of Medicine. And it's already happened to a few doctors out here, right? So the government in itself is changing the total psyche of the workforce, right? As they're doing backroom deals, okay? Just remember that, okay? So anyway, I'm losing track here again. I just told this woman, you go, you know, this is what's happening to the blood, right? You can see it for yourself. This is what's been documented to be in these vials, right? Some of it is straight up fucking saline. And then there's ones with garbage in it. That's what one doctor called it. There's just nothing but garbage in it. Well, other pathologists, immunologists, virologists, microbiologists, all those kind of biologists, people, they're documenting graphene oxide, they're documenting parasites, they're documenting metals. Japanese people documented fucking heavy metals in there, which one doctor would consider to be garbage. The information that British Columbians in Canada aren't receiving from our honest politicians or doctors in general, because the political atmosphere is beyond common sense. So in the meantime, okay, that was the first person I talked to. She thanked me for caring about her, right, and speaking on her behalf, because she felt helpless to be able to do anything outside of lose her job and become homeless like Sierra, right? And God forbid if she ended up like Sierra, homeless, spiraling down until there was nothing left except that big bang money with the snuff movie, all right? A lot of people don't want to face that fucking road, and I don't blame them. She didn't seem too concerned as if I was going to infect her with anything. Okay? In other words, 6 feet apart wasn't the issue. Although she had a mask on. And then the lady that walked us to the room, she apologized. Because as I was coming into contact with these people, I was saying, you do realize you're killing off your hippocampus. And being that they're in the healthcare system and they all went to school with the sciences and all that other stuff, they knew exactly what I was talking about. And they felt like crap because they were helpless to do anything about it in terms of taking off what was killing off their hippocampus. But because it's a slow kill, they weren't afraid of that because it was a slow kill. They're not too concerned if they're going to develop dementia in 5 to 10, 15, 20 years from now, or encourage the onset of Alzheimer's disease because of killing off the hippocampus, okay? There was no concern about that because, it was a small increment where, it would take a long time before that would happen. As they were about, well, I guess losing their job would be one, right? I never got a real strong sense that they all felt that whatever's out and about in the community as a so-called quote-unquote virus was threatening to them. Although the one lady that I spoke to about going to go check out the VAERS, I told her, you need to, look up VAERS, right? And you'll get a better idea. And she said, well, how do you know people are not telling the truth? They're just writing stories. She didn't say it like that. I said, well, do you honestly think people are going to sit there and take the time to write bullshit? Like, think about it. No. Nobody's got time to sit there and fabricate fucking bullshit in order to sabotage a very dangerous precedence that is rewriting human socialization skills. So much so that when we got to the hospital, they wanted to they expected a little Leia May to have a mask on her face. Come with their little tweezers with the mask. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. She's 2 years old. Oh, well, it's my job. It's my job. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Thinking in my head, motherfucker. You motherfucker. Right? That's what I'm thinking. Right? So anyway, then we get to the reception area and all these parents there with their little parents by themselves with their child. Wow. That's, right? All separated. Because, right? Everybody's paranoid of instant death. That's what they're fucking paranoid right now. Oh, I get COVID, I'm gonna die instantly. Oh no, that can't happen. Oh, I don't wanna buck the bullet. I don't wanna buck heads with the bull. I don't want to stand my ground because I got no spine. And whatever their excuses are, they got their teeny weeny little kids, teeny weeny little fucking kids. I can't believe it. I shouldn't say fucking kids, but they got their teeny weeny little kids all messed up. I was so disgusted with it, people. So freaking disgusted. And all I could think was, oh, I'm not going to tell you what I was going to think. What I was thinking. Okay, so anyway, I just told her, I said, you know, you need to go. Nobody's going to sit there and fabricate no freaking stories. But you're sure in the hell not getting the information here in British Columbia, Canada. Anyway, she thanked me for, I don't know, fighting on her behalf, I guess you could say. Right? Because she was between a rock and a hard spot. All those people in that building, except for the fucking lizards, the hybrids, the clones, the robots, the reptilians, the shapeshifters. I'm just trying to think of all the different names people give these things, right? Because they're wandering the halls. I've seen it with John, I've seen it with Shimei, definitely seen it with Shimei, right? And we know that they were hovering over Amari at the time of his birth. Otherwise, Shimei would have gotten better health care. I have a right to say that. So anyway, you know, nobody's going to be faking the funk on any of that. I reminded her of that, right? And then the woman that let us in, you know, again, I said, you know, you do realize you're killing off your hippocampus. Oh, well, yeah, thank you for caring. But, you know, I have to work. And I'm like, yes, I know. I understand that. But I just want you to remember what you're doing when you have this. I didn't even touch base on these inoculations because it's already a given. Right? And so that's 2 people I came into contact with. Okay? Then we go into the room, and I'm in there, right? I brought Amari. I brought Tisha. We had to bring Andre. We had to bring Alea May. If we could have found a babysitter, we would have left them with the babysitter, but we couldn't, so they had to come. The hospital staff was copacetic with that. They just got us a bigger room. And for the most part, Andre and Shimei stayed out in the hall because we were talking, right? So I'm in the room. Amari's on, you know, the bed or whatever that thing is. Tisha's in the chair, whatever. And then this young man comes in and he introduces himself, I guess, like a student doctor, right? There was a term he used. Ultimately, he was just a student and he was a doctor. He was, you know, right? And he asked if he could check on Amari, you know, do his little assessment before the doctor came in. And I said, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead, right? So he's, you know, he's doing hip stuff and leg, and he's bending Amari's foot like this and leg like that. And I'm like, holy Christ, like, can I even do what you're expecting him to do? Right? So I'm standing there and I'm trying to like bend my leg exactly the way this guy was bending and Amari's leg. And, you know, he's asking all me these questions, you know, is he in pain? And I'm like, no, and, you know, blah, and it's all goes back to pain, people. All goes back to pain, right? And I'm like, no, and, you know, and then he says, well, you know, and Amari was, he was really good, like really, really good. He was very copacetic with being manhandled by this stranger, right? Twisting his legs around and doing whatever for the mobility and all this other stuff. They have their little protractor that measures, you know, angles, right? You know, because they try and incorporate the math with it, right? In terms of his flexibility. And I mean, next thing you know, they're going to be asking me to make it so that he can do the fucking splits. There's only one family member in my house that can do that, and that's Tisha. And the only reason Tisha can do the splits is because her dad can do the splits, because her dad is a professional kickboxer. That's the only reason Tisha has no problem doing the splits. As for everybody else, it's just not up our alley. It's impossible. But the way this guy was moving Amari around, I'm surprised he didn't ask me if Amari was capable of doing that. But, okay. So anyway, I had a little chat with him, and and that went pretty good. And then the physiotherapist came in. She was the one that we first met when we first took Amari to the hospital. So, she was hovering around, chatting and doing whatever. And then the physiotherapist assistant that helps with the casts, she came in. Do you see how I'm being bum rushed here, people? Seriously. Then she comes in. Why? Why does she need to be there? I went to go talk to the doctor about hip surgery. Why does the person that does fucking casts, right? And she's right behind me, like right there. Okay, Amari's on the bed. She's right there. Doctor's right there. This other dude moved himself over there. At first, he was standing right next to me. And then this other woman, right? So, right? That's like 4, okay? Plus the 2 I'd have already been in contact with, okay? They're scared of me, but I'm not scared of them. How does that work, people? Okay? They're the ones that are shedding whatever it is that they're being inoculated with. That's been documented. They shed. Okay? I'm not afraid, people. I'm a warrior. Okay? So, I'm not even thinking about it. That's how much I'm not afraid. Okay? But the first woman that I spoke to did tell me, oh God, this is a long video, did tell me that while working in the hospital, or just being in contact with the healthcare system in general. I don't know where she got her information from because she actually works behind a desk. But besides that point, she made note to tell me that 2 types of people are ending up in the hospital because she's trying to justify what she did. She's trying to ease her own mind in terms of she wants to reassure her. She wasn't reassuring me. It was like she had to hear it for herself to reassure herself that what she did made it safer for her if she should come down with a so-called virus. Okay? Because from what she's seen or heard or wherever she got her information from, the people like me that are not inoculated, if we catch it, it's harder on us than those, because that's the sale pitch. That's the snake oil that's being sold to the public. But the insert fails to tell you that the protocol that the doctors are administrating as the patients are coming in is defective. It's negligence. It's oftentimes borderline negligent and malicious, because there are other alternatives out in the world, right, that produce better results versus this drug and then a ventilator. And whatever else is in between, when doctors should have the freedom to make the choice to use this, this, and this. There is no choice because we live in a biased society. She didn't tell me about that part because she was just trying to sell me on the snake oil. Now, whether she was paid to do that or whether she was trying to reassure herself that she made the right decision for herself, because if she catches it, chances are she won't be as sick as if I would catch it. But my mind is, if I catch it, oh, hold on a minute. I'm going to show you. I'm going to start off with this. Better than a ventilator. But I didn't buy it for me. I bought it for the house. In case the whole system shuts down. And a paramedic comes because of some emergency and says, does anyone have a nebulizer? I'll be like, yeah, just give me a second. I'll run home and go get it. Because our governments have failed us. And the saline is good for 1 year. I really need to get an EpiPen, though, from those hornets. So, I didn't get into that. I didn't challenge her on her trying to, because I felt like she was either trying to reassure herself that she made the right decision, and she was trying to convince me to make that decision based on that I won't be as sick if I just jump on the bandwagon. When I know from going outside of the box that there's alternative treatment, and that treatment should be made available to the patients under that duty of care, where right now it's not like that. It's more like there is no choice, and these patients are dealing with biased doctors that are selling snake oil without giving full details as to what's in that bottle when there's other choices. Right? Do you understand? So I didn't challenge that, though, with her. I said, yeah, I know, I heard that. I understand that. I mean, I told her, I said, life is risks, right? People die, right? She goes, you die. And I'm like, yeah, well, people die, all right? Like, get over it. And she goes, oh, I know. I know people die. I said, exactly, people die, right? Like, you're going to live your life because you're afraid of fucking dying, and you're always going to be like, what? What are you going to be? Always afraid of dying. Like, what kind of life is that? Would you consider that quality living? Always afraid of dying? Oh my God, you never get anything done. No. It's going to catch up to you. It's gonna make you retarded. Just from the stress of it. Right. Alone. So, like, I got my backup, people. I got my backup. I got my this if I need it. You can see it. Where is it? There it is. Right there. Okay. I got it in seed form, like actual, the stars, right? I got a few other things around the house. And if it ever comes to the point where I'm one of those statistics where I end up in the hospital because I'm the one that's the carrier, when in fact I was in contact with a whole bunch of strangers today that have been in contact with a whole bunch of other fucking strangers today, all day, every day, for the last umpteen months on end, right? Where I sit here pretty much in my own little fucking quote-unquote bubble. So who's at risk? More. Me and my family. But I'm not all paranoid trying to sell you snake oil, right? And, just because you're a hospital doesn't mean that you're safe, right? Nothing under the sun could possibly convince me of that other than good work ethics. And you don't know about the work ethics until you actually have to deal with the situation, as in quote-unquote Amari's hip surgery. We're not going to know what kind of people we're dealing with here until the end of the day, and even then, there are no guarantees. We'll get into that with more videos, okay? So we're just doing the introduction, right? Because this is important. Right? So I'm being bum rushed. Basically, I went in to see the doctor and his assistant with the physiotherapist. I ended up coming into contact with all these other people that wanted to talk to me. Well, the one wanted to talk to me. The one brought me into the room. The student doctor came in and spent a good half an hour doing whatever he was doing with Amari's legs as he was talking to me, right? And then the physiotherapist came in and was hanging around talking to me. And then the person that does the cast with the physiotherapist, God, why she was there, I don't know. Don't you remember me? Haven't we met before? And I don't have my glass. I'm looking at, well, I don't know. Like, were you the one that did the cast? Oh yeah, that was me. Well, then why the fuck, if that was you, why are you asking me if we've met before? Have we met before? I think I remember. I don't know. You tell me. You were there on that fucking day. It would be in the fucking file. You playing fucking head games with me, people. But I'm like, okay, yeah, you're the one that did the cast with Amari. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's why you were in the room. Because you knew that before you even asked me the question. Why the fuck you playing games now that I'm thinking about it? And they do it so fast because they bum rush you, right? So now I've got 4 people in the room. I've got the woman in the cast making, right, that technically didn't need to be there. I got the student doctor that didn't need to be there, right? And then we had the physiotherapist. Okay, I was prepared to have her there. And of course the doctor himself, right? Right? So, and all those people, all of them, every last one of them has been touching things, running around in I don't want to say dirty hospital, but, considering what comes in at the bottom of people's feet, yeah, I would say so, right? All kinds of people walking in and out of that place with their shoes on, okay? And just because you put on a mask, what the hell does that do? It kills your hippocampus so that it doesn't make you think. Basically, sooner or later, you're going to lose the ability to think. It might take a few years, and by then, you won't care. You'll forget. You'll forget because there will be some other crises coming. So in the meantime, so by this time, after we've gone through all the introductions and blah, 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 and, and they've done their little tests and, and the big doctor comes in, right? And he's hanging around and, and a little chat. And then I just got to the chase people. I said, look, because, they wanted, he started going on with trying to explain what was going on with my questions. And I said, before you get into that, I'd like to record this because I don't want to have to repeat asking the question at a later date, and I need it for my records, right? And I just want to kind of go through it as fast as we can, and I'd like to record it, right? Anyway, and then by that time, everybody was in the room for whatever reason. The student doctor was just learning, right? Well, that cast woman, why are you asking me if you've met me before when you damn well knew you met me before? Okay, that just right there is a red flag, people, okay? Because I'm looking at her, but I didn't have my glasses on her, right? I don't know what, I know, it's hard to recognize me with my mask on. And I'm like, well, when did I see her? A year and a half ago? One fucking time for a half an hour? How the fuck am I supposed to remember what she looks like? Well, with my mask on? Well, if I met you at any time, it would have been with you making the cast. That's right. That's when, you got it. Good girl. You remembered. Now I remember too. No, you were brought in as a distraction. That's what you were. So that I would feel overwhelmed by being bum rushed by a bunch of professionals who are all protected. Okay. Just whatever. I'm walking you through it. I don't know where I put it. But anyway, we get into the questions. Turn on the recorder. It's around here somewhere. And we get into the questions, and I try and go through them, as fast as I can. Now, I did tell them that I'm going to type them out. And as we were going through the conversation here, it's almost like my house is bugged, but great minds think alike. As we were going through these questions, I think some of these questions kind of maybe threw them off in terms of, I don't know if they were trying to butter me up, or if, in fact, they were really good questions. Because, that's a really good question. Oh, yeah, that's even a better question. Wow, you make good questions. Right? And I'm, how people try and woo you, right? To, so they can fool you, right? They woo you to fool you, right? So, and so anyway, we started going into these questions, and we'll get into that. I told them I would type it out. I'd be more than happy to give them a copy. They said it would be great to give to other parents. I said exactly, which makes me think my house is bugged. But besides that point, we already know there's energy weapons going through it. We already know that the fucking script is written up before I even show up through the fucking door, because we went through it with Uncle John. We went through it with Shmay. We just went through it, okay? So there are no surprises there. And it's just been confirmed. I was set up when somebody comes in and says, oh, gee, I think I met you before. Have we met before? Well, I don't know. If I thought about it, I guess it would have to be with you making the cast. Oh, that's right. Yes, we did meet. Then why the fuck were you even there in the first place? Seriously. I feel so foolish now because I just realized that. And that's how fast they work, okay? So I'm supposed to trust them as they're plotting behind my back, trying to trick me into thinking that I remembered something when in fact they fucking knew the answer all along, right? All right, don't get mad. That's what they want. That's that loosh harvesting, right? Obviously. Because all she had to say is, I'm the lady that did the cast, don't you remember? Versus me making me think about it and try and figure out where the fuck I seen her before with her mask on. Even though the first time I seen her was only for a half an hour while she made the cast and she damn well had no freaking mask on. Stupid shit. That's the kind of stupid shit that we're dealing with in society today. That's what I mean. People killing off their hippocampuses. That's how fucking stupid people are going to end up being en masse in fucking 20 years from now. I can see it. As they mutate under that mask, people. As they mutate. Mutate into what? I don't know. But it's sure in the hell not going to be fucking human. That's for sure. Not at this rate. You go in a hospital, they got these weird-ass lights in there. I went into the bathroom, I almost got blinded. Seriously, I almost got blinded with their bathroom lights. It was awful. I've never seen lights glare. Okay, so anyway, my little card thing was full. That's why it clicked out. MP4s take up a lot of space, people. They take up a lot of space on the computer. They take up a lot of space. I don't know what this records in, but anyway, whatever it is takes up a lot of space on these little cards. And when you convert over into an MP4, right, and then you try and upload, it takes a long, long time to upload them. Besides that point, I got cut off. As I was saying, and I'm just going to finish this real fast because it's a long video, and then get on with my day, and then at some point I'll pick up and carry on with the conversation here as to what happened yesterday, okay? So I went into the bathroom because I was just listening to the video. I was going to maybe convert it over like that, and I thought, no. You need to do this and finish the video. Don't leave people hanging like that. So anyway, I go into the bathroom. Now, we know that for whatever reason, we got these LED lights coming in. They want to install them into houses. Like all these property developers, all these guys, right? They don't like to install, your standard lighting system, right? They're always, they're okay. It's been proven they're not good for your eyes. Anyway, the hospital, when I go into the hospital, because of the lighting system, for me, I notice it because of my eyes, right? My eyes are sensitive to the different light spectrums. So I struggle anyway. But when I get into those kind of environments, like a grocery store, or, a hospital, or, some sort of big building with these new and improved lighting systems, oh boy. It's awful. That's how bad the lighting system is. I can see it. Other people can't see it because their eyesight hasn't been going on them yet. Give it a few years. But besides that point, anyway, I ended up going into the washroom. I'm telling you, people. Now, I have a spotlight, and it gets bright, okay? Right? And I went into the bathroom, and the light was just glaring. It was so bright that when I went like this, I actually got shooting pains in my eyes from trying to see what the hell what was lightening the room, right? Because it was just, as soon as I came in, whoa, right? And I'm like, and then, and I got these sharp shooting pains going into my eyes, right? And I'm like, damn. I go like this, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? I go like, and then again, like, it's just like, shoo, shoo, right? It was so piercing. I don't know what the purpose of that was in terms of a lighting system, because it was just a fucking bathroom, but besides the point. Like, it was awful, right? You know, so anyway, I'm going to end this video now because it's a long video. You don't have to listen to it if you don't want to, if you've made it this far. You don't have to go into the next one, okay? I'm talking about it because it's just something I have to go through with my family, right? It's like one of the members that, one of the viewers that watch my channel. You know, I never seem to get a break. No, I know that. I've known that for a long, long time. That's why it's called being a targeted individual. That's why it's called being a targeted family, right? Because certain individuals, certain families are expendable to the predators in the community, right? They seem to think that they have the right to cash in on us when they want. And so we very seldom get a break because we're on the auction block, okay? And if we're not there, we're on the fucking butcher table, one or the other, okay? Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's where we end up, okay? As the so-called, I don't want to say quote-unquote professionals are wheeling and dealing in change, trying to make a profit off of the misery of what they target, basically. But that's not what I want to talk about here. Okay? It is what it is. I just want to end this video so I don't leave you hanging with the word glare. And you'll be like, what? Right? And I'll pick up later. I have things I have to do. I got to get downstairs and put some of that food away. And I think the water dude guy came yesterday. But I was going out the door, so it wasn't like he could change the water tank. I don't know what they're doing. I said, you can come back later on in the evening, or you can come back tomorrow. So I don't know if he came back because I wasn't here. So I would assume that they'll come back today because we're going into day 10 without a hot water tank. You know, I'm getting ragged on as if that's my fault. Well, you know, you need to be more assertive. It's unreasonable. And I'm like, yeah, you don't think I don't know that? But at the end of the day, at least we've got water. You know, Andre's saying, boy, I really miss hot water. And I'm like, yeah, now you know, right? Like, I remind Tisha, in the old days, my grandmother with her 5 kids in a one-room house on the farms with a wood stove, right? With the outhouse outside, you know? They used to boil water on a stove. I said, you know, don't be surprised if it gets to that one day under an emergency situation. And if it does, you better be prepared to be able to cope with it, because in the good old days, that's how people survived. So, you know, right? Oh, well, yeah, well, it's not the good old days, and, you know, and you shouldn't even go one day without hot water. And I'm like, yeah, well, whatever. I know that, but, you know, we made it through, and Andre has discovered how valuable hot water is. He's, oh, Nana, I so miss hot water, right? And I'm like, you know, I'm telling him to take a little sponge bath, right? And then I just reminded him that this is why we have to fill up these water drums outside. We'll end this video on a good note. I said, look, we got these water drums outside because if the water system really went down and we had not even cold water, what do you think would happen, Andre? As it is right now, Nana's little stash of water that I got in the cold room isn't enough to get us through. That's why we need to fill up these water drums, just in the event of. I bought water purifying tablets in the event of. I've got a water testing kit for contaminants and bacteria, just in case of an emergency in terms of a natural disaster and the pipelines break down when it comes to water. I've got 22 pounds of charcoal. Right? I bought Stiphons. Oh, I'm so tired I can't even remember what it's called. I bought a whole bunch of these and some plastic ones to teach Andre how to make our own water filters, because Andre learns better just on the fly, right? So after everything's all settled down and all put away and like I said, I've got the rock and the gravel outside, but I made sure I bought enough charcoal to get us through. And then once that all starts to happen, I don't even like the way the water is coming out of the tap. It tastes terrible. So when we have time, I'm going to make water filters with Andre for fun, for school, and to teach him. And then whatever we make, we'll also use them. And if the water should shut down and all we have is the water in the water drums, I've got everything we need to make sure it's drinkable if it should ever come to that under a disaster situation. Okay? But having no water tank taught him to not take things for granted when it comes to stuff like that. Right? So that's good, right? It brought in appreciation for hot water. So, you know, that's kind of magical in itself. And now that water is like there in his mind, I can, you know, build in the water filtration systems. We can get creative with it, right? So anyway, I'll just leave it on that note. And I'm just going to go about my day. And then when I have time and I want to just sit and talk, because I'm not done yet, okay? I want to talk about Dr. God, Dr. Death, and all this firing of qualified workers that have put in years and years of dedicated service, and do it on behalf of Uncle John and people like him that don't deserve to be treated this way, as well as workers being exploited with a clearly prejudiced and biased system of enforcement, right? I'm going to talk about that because, and I'll end it on this note, which is not really a good note, but I will end it on this note because this is why I need to continue talking about this stuff, people. As I was going through the questions, when I got near to the end, like I said, it's almost like my house is bugged, and they knew what was coming because the closer I got to the end when I was going to start asking questions about legislation and what acts and what this and what that, the doctor got antsy. Now, mind you, he had been there for a while answering questions, but besides that point, he was starting to get antsy, right? Because, you know, he wanted to go, right? Because he had other patients to see. Okay, fair enough. So, you know, I got cut short on a couple of questions, but I did manage to squeeze in that question about us being respected if we didn't want an inoculation. And his whole demeanor changed in an instant. He suddenly became very defensive. I wouldn't say he got rude, but he got curt. And then he just basically said, well, the rules are. You know, in other words, it depends on what the rules are. That is a very dangerous precedence, people. That is what these individuals can use to just shut me out of Amari's life after they've done whatever they've done to him, and maybe they don't want me to see it. We know how that works. The doctor did admit that there is a high probability, well, no, sorry, let me correct myself. The doctor did admit that some children do die after hip surgery. He himself has had some children die after hip surgery. He wasn't as specific as to why, but he confirmed that it happens. He put it at a 1% out of 100 after we kind of dickered down the numbers. Okay? He did admit that after surgery, even if Amari wasn't experiencing pain before surgery, there is a 10% chance that Amari could continue to, well, not continue, but will feel pain for the rest of his life as a result of surgery, even though he never had pain before it happened. 10%, I think he put that at, people. I have it on record, right? You know, he was trying to be fair with the ratios, okay? And then there was another question that related to, you know, having to reoperate, and he put that at about 10%, where 10% of the kids that have hip surgery have to go back in and have more hip surgery because there's problems with it. These are not good statistics, people. They're not good statistics. And ultimately, there was 7 people that I came into contact with yesterday in that room. Because after it was all said and done, all of a sudden another guy came in that wanted me to sign Amari up to a study. I almost got fast talked into that, but the physiotherapist kind of like, whoa, wait a minute, you need to know what it's about. And basically, we'll talk more about it later, basically it's a monitoring system that connects into a mainframe where all these doctors around the world that deal with children with cerebral palsy can compare their data in terms of their different techniques and how to deal with these different issues that children with cerebral palsy had. I mean, on the surface, it sounds grand. I mean, who wouldn't want to help a doctor? But at the end of the day, you know, I need to step back and really ask myself, what kind of system are we plugging into? Because if anyone comes down sick through this little scenario that we just went through yesterday, and it's not me, they're going to blame me for it, people, by default because of what our governments are doing. And then that will be their ticket to tear my life apart and just ramp up that targeting of my family. And they're already circling with their, well, it's not an order yet. It's not an order yet that you have to be inoculated before you can participate in the program. But we know it's heading in that direction because I've got people already warning me about it. And that's unjust, people. That doesn't fall under the duty of care under the Criminal Code of Canada. The problem is that they took out sadism in the good book. In 2018 of December, they completely removed it, where it's okay to practice sadism in society, and that's why it's off the roof and out of control, as it produces an infection that is beyond reason. So anyway, if you want to know in a nutshell what the doctor said, I'll still come back and talk more about it. But in a nutshell, I'm going to end it on this. He said, well, we're going to do a follow-up in 6 months from now because whatever's going on with Amari's hips, apparently, I mean, they could be just stalling for time, waiting for the fucking order to change so that they could really stick it to me. Considering what that woman did with the caster woman, you know, like clearly that was a setup. Clearly, you can see I was being bum rushed. Clearly, I was being wooed to be fooled, right? You know, and at this point, he said there was no changes. So therefore, there is no rush. But he wants me back in person with a follow-up. And when that happens, I'm going to ask just for 2 people in the room. And I'm going to have my backup questions that haven't been answered, so that he can follow up with the rest of the questions in case, and any additional questions. And it can just be the 2 of us, you know, the 3 of us, where I can just hunker down, ask the questions, instead of playing, you know, all this rigmarole with all these other fucking people as a huge distraction. Right? So that at the end of the day, the doctor ran out because of that distraction and didn't answer all the most pertinent questions, the most important questions, because clearly once I started down that path, he got defensive. I said, oh, you getting like you're getting, right? Like I called him on it. I'm pretty sure I did. I said, oh, I can see that upsets you. Like, why? Oh, well, it's order, it's rules. It's the rule. If that's the rule, that's the rule. And then he got uncomfortable and he basically just kind of left. Because he didn't want to fucking deal with it, right? Because he's already on that bandwagon. He's already mutating. He's already comfortable with whatever it is that's going on behind that mask. He doesn't mind blaring lights in the fucking bathroom that literally pierce your eyes when you try and even look at them. I couldn't even look at them, people, without my eyes feeling like I was being stabbed with the knife. That's how bright they were. Who would do that in a hospital in a bloody bathroom? Obviously something that's maybe not like us, that thinks, right? It makes me wonder what's being spliced and diced with what kind of species that could tolerate that type of lighting system. They're trying to change the air systems within buildings, like within fucking buildings in general, like schools and hospitals and hotels. And why do you need to change the air systems? For what purpose? The air will always be the air, right? Like it's to accommodate something else that's not like us, right? Why do you need such bright lights that clearly are damaging to the eyes? Okay, maybe other people don't notice it because they don't have eyes like mine that are highly sensitive to different light spectrums, because my eyes are already damaged. Their eyes are still young and healthy and haven't gone through what my eyes go through. So they're not quick to notice that there's seriously something wrong with those lights. But I am, right? My eyes pick up on it real freaking fast. These are questions that normal human beings need to ask themselves when they come into contact with this kind of shit. So anyway, I'll just follow up however I follow up. Okay, it will probably be either what's going on with a whole bunch of people being fired, right? As they lose their benefits, as they lose their wages, as they lose their pensions after 15, 20 years of dedication in terms of being a worker to the public union sector, right? We're not just talking just random people just losing their jobs. We're talking about people that, stand on principle, which is completely asinine and corrupt and suspicious, because you have to ask yourself, where are all the new workers coming from? Well, I can tell you, just look next door, okay? Once they're allowed to go to work, what do you think those people that obviously clearly got attitude, right, are going to do? They're going to come to me and say, okay, now. Well, that's assuming that they can even speak English, right? They're going to just do what their government tells them. That's what they're going to do, people.